Here's a wild question. How did a tiny swamp city, seriously, a place people once said smelled like fish and mud, become the richest place in the entire world? Today we're talking about the Dutch Golden Age, the world Pieter van Dijk lived in at the start of my novel. Let's rewind to the late 1500s. The Netherlands was fighting a long, exhausting war with Spain. About 80 years of battles, sieges, and people switching sides. But the Dutch finally won their independence, and all that energy that had been tied up in the war suddenly poured into something new, building a better future. Amsterdam used to be small. The houses were wooden, the streets muddy, and fires happened all the time. But after independence, the city basically reinvented itself. The government decided to expand the canals. They dug new waterways in perfect half-circle shapes, and the city doubled, then tripled in size. People from all over Europe moved there. Why? Because Amsterdam was safe for traders, artists, scientists, and pretty much anyone who wanted to start fresh. It quickly became one of the most multicultural cities in the world. Now let's talk about money. The Dutch suddenly had a lot of it. Ships were sailing to Asia, Africa, and the Americas. They brought back spices, silk, tea, sugar, coffee, porcelain, and strange plants and animals no one in Europe had ever seen before. And here's the crazy part. Almost anyone could invest in those voyages. The Dutch created the first modern stock market. A ship was like a business. You could buy a small share in it, and if the ship returned full of valuable goods, you made a profit. This meant merchants, people who owned shops or shipping companies, became extremely wealthy, not kings or nobles. Regular people who worked hard and took risks. So what was life really like? The canals were full of boats delivering goods, families lived above their shops, people wore black or dark clothes most of the time, very different from what you see in the movies. The city smelled like a mix of bread, fish, wood smoke, and spices. And homes were filled with objects from around the world. Education was huge. A lot of Dutch people could read, and there were bookshops and printers everywhere. Even simple homes often had maps on the walls, because the Dutch were obsessed with growing their world. This is also when Dutch art completely took off. Instead of painting kings or religious scenes, Dutch painters focused on everyday life. People eating breakfast, a woman pouring milk, a messy workbench, a ship at sunset, a family gathered around a table, or a scientist in his study. These little moments became masterpieces. And because the merchant class had money, they bought a lot of paintings, like thousands. Some homes had more paintings than furniture. Artists worked in busy studios, and many of them lived on commission, meaning they only got paid when someone ordered a painting. That meant competition was extremely fierce. And this is the world Pieter comes from in my novel. He's a young painter caught between talent and pressure. He works in a big studio where apprentices grind pigments, prepare canvases, and copy master drawings. His survival depends on wealthy patrons, and the choices they make can shape or ruin an artist's entire life. So that's the Dutch Golden Age, a time of huge growth, big risks, and incredible creativity. It's exciting on the surface, but there's a darker edge beneath all that beauty. And that tension is exactly what inspired my story. If you'd like to step into Pieter's world and see how his life in this era connects to secrets uncovered 3 centuries later, my novel, Lost Paintings of Pieter van Dijk, is available now in paperback and ebook on Amazon. Order your copy today and join me on this journey through history, mystery, and art.